Hi, it's Fee. Last YouTube clip was, last two ones I was working on Soulmates 5-panel, which is this lovely piece. That's the 30 by 50, 30 by 80 and 30 by 100. And what I have done is shown an unpacking, the inventory, so the unbox and inventory check, and then setting up my storage. And so now I'm going to show you how I set up to do and how I actually start out. What I have here in front of me is my diamond drills. So these are all set up, all full. You may not be able to see it. You can see where I've got the codings on them. So I have the DMC number and the symbol. So you can see the 3s, 4, 7, and then I come across further to alphabetical. The reason I do that is so that when I'm working here, and because they're symbols, numbers, letters, I can very quickly go, well, that's my symbols, that's my numbers, that's my letters, and I can find them quickly. Because once I put them in here, they're no longer in DMC order number. My leftover drills are kept in a single one, so that's my leftovers, and they are kept in numerical order. And you'll see some here that are actually empty. It's because I've used them, or I've added them to the drills, the paintings that I'm working on now. So that's my setup for my colours, my drills. Next, I have the good old light board, which is fantastic. I do have a desk lamp. Only if I'm really straining with the eyes will I use it, because the desk lamp actually does do glare on the actual painting. What I do have though is I have two of these. One of the, well, I have a few of these, but this is the one I use when I'm unboxing. And this tray here is a tray that I have with me for while I'm actually working on my drills, on my paintings, and slowly adding up. So I've already done some work on these, but this is my little jar of little bits of little leftover pieces so far, and they are all only from this series of the Soulmates paintings. The roller, that has been really good, obviously pressing my drills down. I have a range of trays, from the big one, which is brilliant, to the standard ones you get in your kits when you get them. And in that, I have got two of these that are matching exactly the same size. When I get clumped drills, I put one in that on the bottom and I squeeze them together. And because they are exactly the same, I find that's the best way that I use. People use pill crushers. Yeah, I just find that works just as well. I also, in my little kit, scissors. I have store cards. I use these store cards on the edges at some stages, but I also have an X-Acto knife, tweezers, a couple of different pairs, so the bent and the straight. I actually have a spoon. It's a little tiny spoon, which is really good for getting your drills out. I have a single with I think that takes 6. I have a pen, pencil, and I have a single and a 3 on the end. And just the rubber stoppers. They're enough for me for when I'm drawing. But that's what I have, so when I'm actually working on a painting, that is what I have. And I've got my trusty Scotch tape. So when I'm setting up, get that out of my way. The initial setup, I'll get this off the way, is the preparation of the canvas. I have done one already, but I will do another cut. So I do cut these with the X-Acto knife. But at the moment, I'm going to do the edges. Now what you'll find, let's see, can you see? You can actually see where the shine stops and finishes on that. You can just see how the glue actually overlaps past the picture. And that is where, when you're leaning on it, you will get stuck to it. So what I do, people use washi tape. I actually use Scotch tape. With Scotch tape, what that does mean is when I put it on the side here, where my DMCs are, the Scotch tape is clear. I can see my codes. But it's a very simple process, and I've got a strange feeling I'm going to run out of Scotch tape. I go longer than, keeping it tight. I line up one corner and place that corner down, and then I line up the other corner. Oops. And because it's a Scotch tape, I find that it's not pulling much, doesn't pull any of the glue out. I'm just trying to line it up with the edge. So what I've now got a little bit of a bubble in there, but what I've now got is a really good straight edge. And if I actually push these cards right to the edge, they're not sticking on the picture. They're sticking just as I get there. So that's where Scotch tape, you actually can't see the Scotch tape there. You can just see it on the edge. But the idea is to Scotch tape all of one side. So I'll do this long side. And this one. Working not to rip. Oh, there we go. There's a rip. That's okay. And pull it back. And again, the roller, good bit of weight. So what I will do, hopefully this is long. Oh, Scotch tape. It's great. Didn't get caught on itself. Okay, so that's the length. That's the length. And what I will do is put it on, line it up with that edge, line the corner up on that edge. And what I have got is it's not quite lined up. And being the Scotch tape, it's not picking up. It's leaving that glue stuck down. I need to bring this down so you can see it. Because that's over, that's longer than, that's actually holding that down straight. So I can actually pull this tight and line up most of it. Doesn't want to line up for me this time. There we go there. there, there, and there. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. If you're going to be cutting off the edging, it's not too bad. But so now that I've got the Scotch tape down, I'll put that off. With the Scotch tape down, I'll just push that down. And there's that one. And now with the Scotch tape down, I can still see my codes and symbols. People use washi tape. I've had a quick look at washi tape. I don't know what it feels like. I've had a look at it. And because I can't see through it, and because I like to be able to see my coding, I've stuck with the Scotch tape. Okay, now the other side of it is the cutting. So I have actually cut this one. I've cut the top of it. Now that's using the X-Acto knife and a ruler. The best way, if you've got a light pad, the best way to cut these is with a light pad underneath. Because, let's try and see if we can see it. The light pad going through, no, you can't see it. When you actually look at your diamond painting, you will find there's actually, see there's a really darker line there. When you've got the light pad on, you can actually see that line. And you can see the other one that goes, where is it, across. So when you're cutting your paper, if you're going to cut it, when you're cutting your paper, if you do it with those lines, to get it straight in line with those, you get a better cut. And then when you're lifting, you're not going to be lifting halfway through where some drills should be. And with the X-Acto knife, very easy. I'll see if I can just bring that down. I don't know if you can see it. So, can you see it? Not there. So let's see if you can see, if I line up. You can actually just faintly see along here, there's a line. So I'll be cutting along that line when I cut. But what I am going to do is, it all depends on your own personal preference. But these squares, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections on this. So I'm likely to go, I want to halve this because so that I'm only working with half, not the full lot that I've done. So I will actually find the line. And I use the set square, or I think this is what this is called, purely because a ruler, a ruler moves easier than a set square. Therefore, I'm not as clumsy with a set square because I can hold more surface area. Making sure that's all on there, lining it up. And it is, when you cut with your X-Acto, Sorry, will I line up when I get this right? You're not cutting all the way through. You can actually feel that it's only the paper that you're cutting, and you're not actually cutting where the glue and the canvas is. So that was not much pressure. And I didn't do much pressure, didn't do enough pressure on that edge. Okay, there we go. It was just on the starting point. So now I've got that pretty much in a line. I seem to be turning that thing off every time I reach up there. So there we go. I've got one line, 2 lines, 2 rows. So they're really easy to cut. I would use an X-Acto knife because you've got more control over it. Australia, it's a Stanley knife is the other one that people use. Now, Stanley knife is more for cutting thick pieces of cardboard, whereas this is a lot. It's just as fine, but it's finer in the hand, so you seem to have some more control. With something this is only 30 wide, so I would either, depending on what colours underneath, because I look at what colours, I would look at whether I do it in half or in 3. What I look at is my colours, my coding. You can actually see here, there's a lot of here and here, the lighter colours, and you've got some darker pinks and purples. I would probably do that one in thirds, so do that one. So then I'm dealing mainly with those colours. Then I'm mainly the big colours I'm working with there. And then this side, which is even darker, is yet again, I would be working there. So that's how I prep and get ready. I didn't scotch tape that side. I'll show you what I do. If I don't scotch tape, I use discount cards or company cards that you use stores. And though I have done this side with scotch tape, what I do is I line up these cards, and what that does, it gives me a very, very, very good edge that I'm not going to go over. So that's how I find keeping my edges is really good. And this one's a bit long for me to do it the way that they recommend, which is when you do your painting, to go top left to right, left to right, and work your way down. But I have a bit of an issue where this one is 80 centimetres long, which means if I do, although I can do it, if I went top to right, yeah, I can do it. But I do end up with the drill sitting, the painting actually on my lap. And right at the beginning, that just slides around so much more. What I can do is some of that scotch tape that I used magically before, pop that on the top. And because I'm working at the desk, I can actually stick it to the desk and hold it there nicely. Another little piece just on the corner. Now, where do I go? How do I go about tackling first port of call? You know, some people go inside, some people try and do all of one colour. Some do small sections. So I'm actually going to do a small section, and I am going to cut. So I want to bring it back to that mark. So I can either fold this back, and then my hand's going to be backwards and forwards on that, or I cut And then when I actually leave this piece, I just stick it on top. I put Scotch tape over top. I'm just going to cut it to where I want it to be. And I will cut it from going the bottom to where that cut is here. Because what I want to do is make sure that when I cut, I'm only, this sheet here, this next row, has not been cut. So that's where you just make sure you're not cutting into your next sheet down. So, got that done. So I'm ready to start going. Now, as I say, people have their different ways of working with these. My personal preference is I've done the cut. I'm actually going to rip that up. I will keep it there to the side because I can actually get to and Scotch tape it down on the top and the side. And what I do, so I'll try and make sure I've got these nice and square. So I will do one more here. Oh. So cool when they do that. Okay, and line that one up and hold it down. There we go. So what I've got is I've got the Scotch tape along the top. I've actually put the strand bags, my store cards here. So I've got a solid edge, and then I'll be working on this section. And the way I work it is like a jigsaw puzzle. I like to do my edges first, but I don't just do my edges. So what I'll do is I've stuck it down, so I've just made it difficult. What I look at going with is top left corner. The very first one that I do will be, gosh, you've got to get used to using these. That one there, which if I actually look, is actually a Q. So the symbol is Q. See that back down. So without even needing to, oh, that was clever. Without even needing to look at my drills, and I'll bring it down closer. Everything to the right, I'm right-handed. Without really needing to look at my drill container, just move it there. I know that I've got, bring it back up again, sorry. Rearrange you. Okay, so without really looking, this is my drills. I know that one is my symbols, that one and that one are my numbers, and these three are my letters. And if I do a quick look, that one there is not it. The next one down is my Q, which, right. So with doing that, I've identified my top corner. And you put things down and you just don't know where you put them. I like the big tray, love the big tray. I can either pour in or I will actually use the scoop, because pouring in, I tend to get clumsy, and I will say I am a clumsy person. So I find the spoon's better. And if you've got static, the spoon is really good. I have been known to, when I need a couple, just stick my fingernail in, get a couple under the fingernail, see if I can balance it. And that's only if and I'll do that. But that's only if I've worked my way around and I've gone, oh bugger, I've missed a square, I've missed a drill. Close my container up, and I try and work with only one container open at a time. Every now and then I will work with a second, but if I work with a second, that container actually sits inside of wherever I've poured it. So if I'm working, that's my main colour. What I will do is my secondary colour, I will actually put the container inside the secondary colour. What that means is when I'm working with something, if I'm only grabbing little bits just to fill in small gaps, when I go to put it away, I know it's that one and I'm not going to pour it accidentally in this one. And whereas with this big one, if I go to, I'll need to put in a container, I'm automatically going to pick up that and the tray as well as the holder. And that makes me go, oh, that's not the right one to grab. But it's always better, if you're not using it, put it away where you're not accidentally going to end up tipping a full tray of drills into a container that doesn't match. If you're using colours that are close, oh, you're in trouble. Well, I shouldn't say you're in trouble, you're just going to have a nice time of cleaning up. So, what I am going to do is drop this down and try and get this camera just a bit closer to me. There we go. Now that's, there we go. And I can't zoom on this camera. Okay, here's me. So that's set up, ready to go, and I work on the corner first. My first corner I use Go For, and no, it's that side. And I work my way along the side just to get all of that one side. It just helps keep it neat. I need to move that out. There we go, that's better. Do find that when I'm working like that, if I've cut a big piece out, I will cover that up. So, but once I've gotten a few colours on, I find that I don't need to do that because I fill in colours right throughout the square. Okay, I'm just going to work through all my cues. And so that's all my cues on the edge. And I will go look at my cues on the top, which I have one. And that fantastic Scotch tape up there means that it's not sticking on the outside of the picture. And just sticking these on. Right. So that's it. That's how I set up and how I get moving. What I will show you is, have I got a 3? Just having a quick look to see if I can see 3 cues in a row, but no, I can't see them. So that's basically it. What I will go is, just as an example, so that one's in there, that's in there. I'm just actually going to go to a different colour, so I'm going to put that aside with the tray. I don't want to put it at the top. And what I'm going to do is, very special with that button, I'm actually going to do the ease, which is the next one in, just so you can see. So there we go. And so when you look at that, when I'm pulling those out, it means I'm not spilling a lot, especially when you're using a little tray. And okay, and that one yet again, that's up there, that's the main colour that I'm working with. I'm not squeezing in any of the cue in. I'll do the E's. I'll get the E's done because there's quite a few there. Press buttons are nice on these light pads, but I can tell you one thing: a simple switch would be better. There goes me knocking it already. A simple switch would be better because then I would not be bumping it and tapping it every time I got near it. Work my way along. There's another E. My E. And my E. So I wouldn't normally go from one symbol to the next until I'd actually completed the whole thing of Q's, and then now I'm on the E's. So normally I do all the Q's and then I'll do all the E's. And just work the edges on. I have, so this pickup pen has the 3 on it. I've done some where I've used this for some of the bigger areas. I still haven't got the knack for it, so I'm not going to try and show it on the camera. And I'm not using the wax, although I do have the wax there. What I am using is, in Australia, it's blue tack. I've heard people call it white tack. Oops. So that's just what I use inside of mine. And it actually lives on my little container here. And I just stick a pen in, get a little bit on there that way. And then I don't lose where it is. So here you see I've done the edges, so now I'm just working my way around. And we all know that when you're doing these, or I think a lot of people come across it where you're doing these and you think you've done all of that colour or that symbol, and then when you move on to your next one you discover, oh heck, I missed that one. How could I have been so blind? I try to go, okay, I'm doing this section, this section, this section at a time, and then been doing that for the last couple of panels that I lifted. I won't say paintings, but a couple of panels where I've just gone a section and gone rightio, because the bigger area you're looking at, the more likelihood you're going to miss it. Oh yeah. But that's the simple bit. I'm actually going to plug away at the E's, but that's about it. I'll plug away at the E's, get those done, and then I'll turn the camera off. So you can either sit there and watch me plug away, or you can just fast forward it to the end. But I've got nothing else that I can really add to this. But this was all about just starting up. Got them. It's about getting the edges, protecting the edges. To me, it's about protecting the edges. Is one thing to do, because I think the first one I did, I ended up with dust. I actually had a couple of my dog's hairs on it. None of my own, but yeah, my dog had dropped it. We'd ended up with, because we all know pet hair goes everywhere. And it didn't look good, so I've had to, I suppose I used ribbon when I framed it to cover up those bits, which didn't look too bad. One thing that some people have asked about getting these to line up, to get these to fit in the squares properly so they're all facing the right way. If you do it by up in the air, you're likely, I find that I end up dropping them. So I keep them on the paper, and it's only gentle. You don't need to go hard. The harder you go, the more likely they're going to go flying. So yeah, that's the setup, and that's just how I just plug away. And normally by this stage I've got the TV going. That's all. I get my own world. One of the things I like about diamond painting is I get in my world, I get in my zone, and I shut down from everything I need to do. And I think I've got all these in that row of 4. But this one is the main colour, which I will show you, the main colour that I'm working with at the moment. And I'm actually putting that aside with the tab in there. And I'm going to bring this one out, and I'm going to keep the container in there. So this is the cues, going back to the cues. And I might. So if you're going to work 2 different colours, I would recommend that if you've got a container that those drills sit in, I would keep them in there if you're using a second colour, because that way you don't mix them up. Because if I actually pick these up, you can see those colours, whoops, they're pretty close. So if I accidentally put one into the other, I'd have no hope of being able to separate those into different colours. I would absolutely struggle, even if I have my glasses on. But yeah, that's it. I'm just doing these cues now. Normally, if I wasn't on camera, I would have gone and looked all the way down here and looked all the way down that side. So I would have gone there, and I would have gone along there, and then gone around. Because what that does is it gives you a bit of an edge where you know you're working to. So yeah, I'll just plug away, get some more of these cues done on that one row, one section. And I don't know about others, but the ones that I've done so far is you've got your standard lines, but generally where you've got your 4s are where they a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can see a darker line. And that's where I try and stick to that grid when I'm working in an area like that. I'll work it down there. And then I know I've covered that row of 4. And then just a quick look up, and I did miss a couple. And by doing that, I can do a quick look at that row of 4 and go, okay, I've got everything there on that. And I've also got everything on there on the E's, the other symbol. But yeah, that's how I set up, and that's about it, I suppose. I will put these away. I will actually put these colours away, purely because 2 colours open, and I'm about to put a camera away, which means I'm going to knock everything over. So yet again, that's the cue. If I go into my box of colours, I put it back in alphabetical order or numerical order, or when I go to symbols, if it's symbols, you can't really put them in any order except DMC colour. And there we go, I've just flicked You can't go any other order but DMC colours. To me, I can't find a pattern with other symbols. And that was the E's, and that goes after D. That goes all back in. Okay, so that's it. Very simple process. That's just the way I set up. You'll find that whenever I do any diamond painting, you will always find that my desk will have my colours, my pieces, and then if I can move this around, it has all my other tools on my desk that I use. And of course my drink, and sometimes there is chocolate. Okay, well thank you, and I'll see you for the next one. And the next one is actually an unboxing. Good old China mail. So yeah, I'll see you next time.